Carl Sigman is a disability community advocate at the Freed Center for Independent Living in Grass Valley, California. In his role at Freed, Carl works at the state and local level to advocate for policies that improve the lives of people with disabilities and ensure that we can live, work, and play in communities we choose. He is the chairperson of the Voting Access and Advocacy Work Group of the Disability Organizing Network in California. Carl is spearheading a longitudinal research study looking at disaster readiness and response within the disabled community in California. In addition, he produces and co-hosts Disability Rap, a monthly radio show that airs the first Monday of the month on KVMR, Nevada City, California. Carl grew up in Philadelphia and attended Central High School and then Haverford College, where he studied computer science, Quaker studies, and documentary filmmaking. When he was in middle and high school, he designed and built an adaptive keyboard that he now uses as his primary text input device. Carl has managed operations for 2 retreat centers and has taught documentary filmmaking to high school students. And our next guest is Brian Snyder, who is currently Freed's Emergency Preparedness Coordinator. His responsibilities include assisting in creating personal emergency preparedness plans for older adults and people with disabilities, coordinating backup power solutions for those with life-sustaining medical devices during PG&E public safety power shutoff events, and working with California Disability Disaster Access and Resource Centers to meet the needs of our community members during emergencies. Brian was born with Usher syndrome type 2A, a rare genetic degenerative disease which causes blindness and deafness. So we are so excited to welcome our second guests, Brian and Carl. We'll be talking today about something that I personally don't think I know enough about this topic, and it kind of freaks me out, but emergency preparedness. So Dan will start us off with our first question about this topic.
How do you define emergency preparedness? Does it differ significantly by where a person lives?
It really, emergency preparedness is really specific to the person, especially those with disabilities like us. You know, we live in a very precarious time, so it's so important to be vigilant, have situational awareness of the area and where we live. We're using the 4 steps of the Listos campaign, and Listos is Spanish for ready, and it's something that Governor Newsom has enacted to prepare marginalized communities, people with disabilities. And so the 4 steps are: number 1 is to basically have 5 trusted allies that you can contact in an emergency. The idea is to be able to contact each other in the event of emergency and help offer assistance if need be. The second step is having an emergency supply kit, a go bag, filled with essential items that last 72 hours to be able to survive whatever type of disaster or emergency. The next step is to have a list of medications and medical equipment so that you have the exact type of medication, its name, its the dosage and frequency. So it's important to have those written down in paper and digital format, like a cloud version. And the last thing is knowing your escape routes, how to get out of the area, and multiple escape routes. And it's always good to travel those after dark because it simulates what a wildfire would be like.
I just
Sure.
I work at the comes level is what we see time in time out. If the people with disabilities are disproportionately affected by any type of disaster, whether it be a wildfire, a hurricane, a mudslide, or a peril of public safety. So, let me give you just a couple quick examples. Number one is transportation. A lot of us in our community rely on public transportation or paratransit. And in a disaster, in an evacuation, how are you going to evacuate if you rely on public transit? So that is number one. Number two, of course, is our power needs. That is why it is so critical that we are able to deploy these batteries and that we are able to offer consumers hotel stays to mitigate the effects of this PSPS event.
You know, I'm thinking there's a lot swirling in my head about this because some of this, it seems like, in terms of the batteries and then the hotel rooms, that might just be, you know, from the state, California. Is that right? And that you know, if some, like we live in Pennsylvania, and if someone is living in Wisconsin, it could differ, couldn't it? I mean, in a certain sense of what's offered as resources for people with disabilities to prepare.
Yeah, let me say this is very, very important because personal emergency preparedness is a very privileged thing. You know, if you have a lot of money and you're have a disability, it's easy. You just buy everything you need. You can buy yourself a Generac whole house generator. I'm talking about through the public safety power shutoffs. You can basically buy everything you need. You can buy transportation on demand. You can buy anything. But many people with disabilities do not have that financial security. And it's getting worse because of, you know, our culture we live in. The economic inequality is becoming much, much, much worse. Richard DeVilder, and I'm not sure if I'm pronouncing his last name correctly, but he used to be OES, that's the Office of Emergency Services in California. He was the chief of access and functional needs. And his mantra is nobody is coming for you. So you have to prepare as if no one is coming. That's something that we have to have that honest discussion and be like, be prepared. And it requires a certain community resiliency. What we really talk about is how we as a community, how can we help each other?
What would you say then would be the first step that somebody can take to, and despite where they live in this country, what would you say would be the first step to try to break it down into actionable steps?
It's like anything in life. What is the most urgent need and how do we respond to it? First of all, starting conversation with friends, neighbors, community members about this and being honest about saying, hey, I don't have anybody. Would you be willing, if a situation arises, to help? And how can I help you? What can I do? I think that's the first thing, is starting those really honest conversations about our needs. Secondly, with regards to like an emergency supply kit or a go bag, everything does not have to be purchased at once. So start just saving up. There really isn't an easy solution. But the only way we can start to begin to address this is having conversations like this, having conversations with our family members, our friends, our community members, and seeing where the unmet needs are and start addressing them one at a time.
We really appreciate both of your time and your expertise on this really, really important subject. And we hope to spread the word so that people can feel more empowered and prepared.
I got 1 minute slip in here. The emergency notification system that local government offer, as well as the federal government through FEMA. Sign up for emergency alerts for your area. Thank you for having us on.
Just to add to what Carl said, besides contacting, looking up FEMA information, also contact your Center for Independent Living or Independent Living Center, depending on where you are in the U.S. Thank you for having us. We deeply appreciate it. And thank you.
No, thank you guys. All the best.
Thank you. You stay healthy and resilient.
Thank you to you guys as well. Thank you, Carl. Thank you, Brian. Thank you so much for watching another episode of the Ginchiest, where we talk about our disability experiences and what they teach us about being human.
Subscribe. I dare you.
Oh my God, you ruined it.